going to hang out here for a minute with my friend Christina while we wait for some people to come and join us. Do me a favour, if you're ready to hear about your biological clock, do you need to freeze your eggs, anything to do with your fertility as we age, this is where you need to be tonight. So please do me a favour. I love hearts. I love questions. I also love it if you... Hi, guys. I also love it if you could let some other people know that we're hanging out here and talking. Hi, Tara. Hi, Cass. Long time no see. Not that anyone's seeing anyone anyway, but really long time no see. So please go and let your friends know that we're hanging out here. This is a hot topic tonight. All I want is you. We're here, baby. Want is you. Make me go crazy. I'll probably get banned for my song, but anyway, that's why we can edit some more. We're all here for the fun. I'm in my best lockdown gear. I was working today. Decided to get comfortable for tonight. Baby. Hi, Rebecca. I have to see who my friends are on Facebook because I'm actually not even looking at you, which is a bit mean. Just looking at this little tiny screen. I wonder if I could do this. Oh, yeah, but I need to be able to see. I need to be able to see who the people are asking questions. Oh, there we go. Love it. Hi, Megan. Hi, Joanne. All right, guys. I'm going to give it another. Oh, my goodness. How's it already 6 minutes past 8? Have I been dancing all that time? All right. We're going to have to just tell Christina just to be quiet for a little bit. All right. I'm really excited that you guys are all here. Thank you for joining me. Hot topic, guys. Hot topic. And this is because you've asked so many times, and there's a few things I've got to bring to you, to give to you, to share with you when it comes to fertility and aging. And I know it is a topic that a lot of people and a lot of women are really worried about. And I'm here to bust through some myths, restore your trust and faith in your body, but also do what you need to do to get the outcomes that you want. So a couple more minutes, just please tag anyone that you know is interested in fertility and learning how to preserve their fertility, interested in their hormones and how to be healthier, interested in having children at an older age, interested in preserving egg quality, just interested in being healthier. Someone said to me today, it was really funny when I shared this, and they said, Megan said, I love ASKNAT. I love ASKNAT too. Someone said to me today, oh my gosh, just when we thought that it was time to stop ovulating and hang up the boots, you're going to come along and tell us how to keep on ovulating. And I was like, no, babe, this is also how we don't have to have as many wrinkles as what we thought we might have to have. So you need to know this stuff, guys, because this is how we can start to hack our body, hack our cells, and there's some pretty cool research that you need to know about. So we're going to be here for the next 20 minutes or so, hanging out. I'm going to answer any questions you have, but I want to deliver the truth bomb straight up. And as always, I've got some resources. So you can't go anywhere because you need to hear me out and you need to be able to tap into some of these resources that I've got to share with you, because there's no point me just giving you all this information and then you going, that's great, Nat. Now what? So I do want you to hang around. I do want you to have that. I won't keep you all night. But a couple of things. I have talked a very long time and for pretty much all of my years about how to preserve your fertility as not just a woman, but a man as well. Do I have my very first book that I ever wrote, Well and Good, not first book, that's a lie. This is the fourth book that I ever wrote, is all about how to prime your body for fertility. And when I was writing this book, it was very interesting because all of the things that we advocate for in terms of supporting your body, and let's remember, fertility isn't just about babies, guys. Fertility is about having a thriving reproductive system so that if and when the time is right for you to have children, you can, but it's also living your best life, being super healthy, being super vibrant, knowing how to use your hormones to your advantage. And we all kind of want a bit of that. And we've lost a bit of this, guys. You know why we've lost it? Because stress is the absolute hugest fizzer for aging. Stress and inflammation are the two things that absolutely age us more quickly than anything else. And so we need to know this, and also there's some pretty cool research that my really good friend, Dr. Amy Raup, and I'll give you some access to her in a minute, was talking about in her new book, which actually does state that when we can reduce inflammation and oxidative stress through supplements and through nutrition, that we can absolutely improve our egg quality and more than likely our sperm quality. And we can not only slow down the aging process, but in the right environment with the right tools, the right nutrition and support, the research that has recently come out as late as I think April this year, so like last month before, is saying that they put people on this regime for 8 weeks and it reversed their age by up to 3 years. Now, if you are wanting to conceive and you can reverse your age and improve your egg quality by 3 years, guys, this is epic. This is like next level everything. And so I do want you, and I will share a link to Amy's new book. It's called How to Improve Your Egg Quality, something along those lines. Let me find it. It is called The Egg Quality Diet, and this is why you absolutely need this. But it's absolutely incredible that the research that they've found literally by being able to reduce inflammation and oxidation, and that will absolutely positively impact how the eggs in your ovaries age, and to the point where we can start to reverse the damage that we've already called. There you go. Thanks, Beth. The Egg Quality Diet. Beth's on here. So absolutely, Beth, do you want to share a link for Instagram? And I've actually got a link here to share for Facebook. But if you can, Beth, you're all over it. Like, do you sleep, babe? Do you sleep? How did you know that this was happening? I was scrambling trying to find links before. So I'm going to share those. I'm going to put that, if Beth can share it there. Oh, I don't think that's going to work. Hang on. I'm going to find it. But anyway, so I think this is just incredible information, but I think it's also just so important for us to understand that everything that we do each and every day. Hey, Beth, do you want to jump over onto Facebook and put the link there too? Otherwise, I will do it. But everything that you do each and every day is having an impact on your health. It's either taking you exactly where you want to go. Didn't know that this was happening. Just obsessed with you. I feel really terrible that I didn't give anyone a heads up on that. But we're talking about aging. Look, and the reason that I really wanted to talk about this was because last week I was talking with a patient and she said to me, should I freeze my eggs? Which I think is a very, very common story. And that's how we came to talk about this tonight. I know what's happened to Instagram. Hang on. There you go. So this is a very, very common question, and I'd love to know, hands up, anybody, thanks Beth, anybody who is considering freezing their eggs. And that's actually how this conversation came about. But the first thing I want you to know is absolutely nothing is permanent. And if you have burnt the candle at both ends, you are highly stressed out, you know your nutrition hasn't been on point, you've done nothing to look after yourself, don't fear. Because there's things that you can do as of today and now that are going to help to support your health and support your fertility. And that's really, really important. The second thing I want you to be able to realize is that if you are being pressured into feeling the need that your biological clock is ticking and that you must go and freeze your eggs yesterday, just wait a second, because really, oh, thank you, Beth. Beth's put it in the Facebook link as well. Do you love it when the stars just align? I love that. Anyway, so look, this is one thing you can start to tap into. But anyway, point is also that if you are being pressured into freezing your eggs, let's have a conversation about that. I am so not opposed to freezing eggs, but rewind to what I was saying. I was having a conversation with a patient and she said to me, do I need to freeze my eggs? And I said to her, I'm far more concerned about managing stress, and this is exactly what Amy's talking about in her book as well, inflammation and oxidative stress, than I am with your age. And I'm actually in the business of helping women to helping women to solve their stresses more than I'm in the business of supporting women's egg quality, because it's kind of goes hand in hand. But if you feel like you're under a lot of pressure, your biological clock is apparently ticking, which you've now just learnt that maybe that's not as it's not as stressful as you need to think it is. then there's things that we can start to do. But I can 100% tell you that stress ages us quicker than anything. Now, if you're stressed about falling pregnant, if you're stressed about finding the right person to have a baby with, if you're stressed about your biological clock ticking, then that becomes counterproductive. So should you freeze your eggs? There is no good answer for that other than it's a great insurance policy. It's still a big stress on the body, but if you can get your body in the best position to do that, then that's not necessarily a bad thing depending on how old you are. But I can certainly see women in their 40s who are far more fertile than some women in their 30s based on the lifestyle that they live. And we can't skimp on lifestyle. So this is the big challenge, is that we've been led to believe that time is, that there's hacks that we can implement. There's always, assisted conception, and yes, there is, but it's not necessarily a guarantee, and sometimes it's a lot of hard work. Now, I think the thing I want to say is, if you are the average person, and none of my patients are average, and none of my viewers and people that follow me, you're not average either, right? You are here because you want to learn things that you can do to put your health first. You automatically take yourself out of that category of being normal, right? You're not. You're superhuman already, because you're already interested in how you can do things to help to hack your body so that we are slowing down aging processes, so that we are fertile for longer, so that we can support our fertility, so that if we fell pregnant today, you would be okay. That's what I know I'm here to help you do that. So when we look at percentages and we look at outcomes when it comes to especially consistent conception, but also natural fertility and natural conception, we look at the across the board figures, and somewhere in there is where you're positioned. So if we say you've got a 20-something% chance of conception each cycle, I want to make sure that you're not in that category, that by doing the things that we're suggesting and implementing, that you're automatically taking yourself out of that category, and you don't have to behave like an average person anymore. You know that your fertility, you know that your hormones and your body is above average, and therefore those statistics don't actually apply to you any longer. But if you're new here, or perhaps you know you've got some challenges and there's some work to do, I would 100% absolutely be on board, whether you want to freeze your eggs, whether you want to have a baby, whatever it might be, to dedicate 12 weeks to getting your fertility on track to a point where you know that you would approach this next phase of your fertility from a much better place. So we see this all the time, especially with couples that are coming for IVF, and there's been known challenges, and they've come to us for support. And I will say to them, if we're using an already frozen embryo that's already there with what you've already got, look, there's a chance that it can work, but the chances are better when we put your fertility first, and then we go and do another collection in 12 weeks' time, because we're creating a variable. And the same goes for natural conception as well. We want to create variables. So I know that there were questions asked about multiple miscarriages, all sorts of fertility questions, and it's a very simple answer. Give yourself 12 weeks, put your health forward, minimize stresses, maximize function, and then go and do an egg collection, or then go and start trying to conceive, because you've created variables that put you into a different category. So that's what we're all about. Now, there's some pretty interesting things, and I've got a graphic to share with you after, and I've got a few other things. So I've thankfully Beth jumped on and shared those resources for Amy to pre-order her book, The Egg Quality Diet. And I just love this research, because it is what we've been saying for years. But now there is research that tells us that not only can you improve your fertility and improve your egg quality, but you can start to reverse aging, or at least stop aging, or minimize or slow it down, depending on who you are, what you do, where you live, how you do it, that are going to absolutely improve your egg quality. Isn't that nice? All of a sudden, you've got options. When you thought that there was nowhere else to turn, you've got options. And regardless of whether or not, like I said, it's natural conception or consistent conception, these things are really valid and really important. You cannot bypass the core and fundamentals of what you need to conceive. No amount of drugs can do that. And so if you really want positive outcomes, this stuff is so vital, and it's the stuff that we do each and every day. But when you looked at, especially at the research that Amy has put in her book, you can see that perhaps your nutrition, even though what we thought or previously had suggested may have been somewhat supportive of hormones, and that's especially fat and protein, and because your hormones are made of fat and protein, that we need to make sure that we are balancing our nutrition and our plate to do that. So I do have a graphic, like I said, that I do want to share with you at the end, and have one other thing that I know that you're going to be super interested in before we say goodbye tonight. So I do want to answer some questions if anyone's got any at this point, but I hope really, I just want you to understand, like I said, I'm not necessarily always in the business of simply supporting your egg quality or your fertility. I'm actually in the business of helping you to remove the stresses to allow your body to perform optimally, no matter what age you are. Age, yes, of course, it is our factor, but it's not the factor. And I think this is the most important thing that we have to learn tonight. We've been told that our biological clocks are ticking, which is true, but we can do things to slow them down. We can do things to support our fertility. And like I said before, we can do things to pull ourselves out of that average category and put ourselves to a level where we're no longer in that category. We're above that. So we've got some questions coming through that I can see, not so much on Facebook, but definitely on Instagram. I just need to lean forward to have a look at what some of those might be. So what sort of stresses are you referring to? Every single kind of stress that you can think of. Now let's categorize what stress is. Stress is being overworked, burning the candle at both ends, not sleeping properly, having poor nutrition, not having a gut that can assimilate. Oh, not having a gut. We've all got a gut. Most of us do anyway. Poor gut health, where you're not assimilating nutrients properly. You might not be moving your bowels properly. It could be your liver health. It can be your thyroid. It can be the thoughts that you can think. It can be your environment. Pretty much anything that is a factor that can alter the way that your body works in a negative way is a stress. So we need to untick as many stresses as we can, but the ones that we can start with, I will definitely share with you in the graphic once we hang up tonight, the 4 things that I really think that you can do. And these are things like nutrition and exactly what you need to do, and just being able to become aware of where our stresses are. But we've glorified stress. We think if we're not stressed, we don't get a job done. We don't have space necessarily in our lives for conception. We're trying to fit it in between the other things that are going on in our life, and our bodies aren't stupid. They pick up on that. They know that, and think of it this way. Your body's doing exactly what it's supposed to do under the circumstances. So we need to change the circumstances to put it in a position where it is able to be more fertile and obviously able to conceive. Can the egg freezing process impact your body negatively? Everybody's different. It's very difficult to know you and to be able to safely say yes or no. I think the main thing is to prepare your body for egg freezing and egg collection and then freezing. That's what I would say. And that's why I think it's really important to set aside some time to get your body in a position where it is actually putting its best quality eggs forward. The thing with we can test egg reserve AMH levels, and whilst that's amazing, I think it's a terrible test. I find that we can improve the outcomes. Now, if we're born with all of our eggs, how is it that our AMH or our ovarian reserve can change? I have never seen an AMH decline when patients follow a protocol that is there to support their hormones and their fertility. So it makes me either think your body's not silly. It's hiding, it's hiding your precious eggs for a rainy day, for when things are better. Or maybe we've now learnt we can improve the quality of what we're seeing. And so if we can improve the quality, it makes much more sense to actually put in the work to improve the quality before we would do any egg collection or any type of cycle when it comes to IVF or conception, to put our best foot forward. And that's the way that we can also minimize, or at least start to address other issues like miscarriage, other polycystic ovarian syndrome. I know there's some questions on that tonight. So looking at all of these factors is really important. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is through nutrition and supplementation, we are, like I said, we're minimizing those stresses, especially inflammation and oxidative stress. And that's that stress from these external things that change the way that our cells work or skew the way that they work, so to speak. So we want to be mindful of all of these things, but I don't want you to feel stressed by this. I simply want you to be aware of where your stresses are. And if you are actually in a state of overwhelm, and we've spoken about this loads of times, but it's really important to be able to say, you know what, I actually am in a state of overwhelm. I actually am in a state of stress. Recognize it. That's where we start. I recognize that I am actually stressed. And if anyone's sitting here right now, especially in Victoria, saying, nah, fine, you can't help but pick up on the collective stress of the world right now. It's a particularly stressful time. So to say that we're not at all stressed, I feel is quite ambitious for most of us. Now, I'm sure there's people that cope better. There are, we know that. But we really need to be mindful of that. Let me have a look at some of these questions before we say goodbye. I just did see a question that said, I mean, you probably can't hear me because my mic's, oh my goodness, there's so many. I'll just answer some of these. I won't be able to get to all of them. Okay, this is what, I don't know, I haven't read this yet, but let's have a look. Incredible. I've got the brightest light in my eyes here, guys. But then, so disappointing when a fertility specialist says you can't improve egg quality, that the only option is IVF. So a couple of things. I don't know why you're on the path of needing a specialist, but everybody has a place. And I think the more that we can have this research to present to all health providers, the more that we can take charge of our own health. And I think this is really important. I really want you to hear this. You are a specialist in you. You're the only person that's lived X amount of hours, what, hundreds of thousands? I don't know how many. I'm not a mathematician. That's really, really bad. At least thousands of hours within your body, and you are a specialist in you. Now, we go to other specialists to help in various areas of our lives, but you know your history, you know where you've come from, you know how you feel, and also I'm sorry that you haven't yet found somebody that's able to be on board with this, but I promise you there are IVF specialists and doctors out there that completely understand this, and they know the impact of everything outside of the reproductive system. Now, your body doesn't just operate, it's not just a uterus. You're not just made up of a uterus and some ovaries. There's so many other systems within systems that all require a symphony to actually work properly. And when one of them's a bit off, it can really set the rest of it off. And this is also why I think it's a good example of stress. Stress is when we're in a state of stress and overwhelm, and let's just say external stress, being, overworked, we are releasing more cortisol and adrenaline than what our body can keep up with. And as an absolute coping mechanism, it impacts our sex hormones. It's supposed to do that. That's a coping mechanism that your body is actually doing exactly what it's supposed to in those circumstances. And so this is why we have to recognize that we are stressed and we are in a state of overwhelm so that we can do something about it, but not just wake up every day and hope tomorrow is different, but not creating any variables. So it's really, really important that we are aware of this, and it's really important that we collect as much information and we have the right health providers that can help us in the way that we need. We're all different. So I think the more that I've been talking about this for years. I have watched specialists change their views time and time and time again as we learn more and more. And I think the tricky part is that often in complementary medicine, we are curious about these things before they actually become fact and science. And it can take a long time for that to happen. So let's not discount anything, because I can guarantee you 10 years ago, probiotics, we were looking at them as if to say, they don't work, that's woo-woo stuff. And today it's fact. So everything evolves. We learn more things. We need to be open to learning new things and finding new ways of doing things. But when the research tells us that we can slow down, halt, or even reverse the aging process to have an impact on our egg and sperm quality, I mean, happy days. And not so much for sperm, because men are having babies right up until forever. But as for women, we do know that our fertility does decline, and we need to do everything that we can to slow down the aging process. Let me see if there's any other questions here that I can quickly comment there's lots of questions about endometriosis and adenomyosis, and they're still inflammatory and autoimmune conditions, and these are still stresses that we need to look at, but they are definitely conditions that are able to be managed and often overcome in the right circumstances. And everybody's different as to what that looks like. So some people can live completely without evidence of any issue, or others will find that at peak times they might have evidence of challenges when it comes to those conditions. But when it comes to your fertility, we still want to be doing these things. And I get the nice part is it still puts you in a better position if you are doing these things. So being mindful of this, I think, is very important, but the stress part plays into adenomyosis and endometriosis because stress is something that creates inflammation within the body. And then when we've got more inflammation, then we've got more pain, and we've got that definitely is one of those other things on the pile of what we're talking about when it comes to stresses and impacting our sex hormones. So really important. Also, when there's stagnation and congestion through the pelvis, again, it's inflammation. So we want to be able to address that as well. What exactly are we doing for the 12 weeks? All right, so I've given you some resources. Amy's book, The Egg Quality, hang on, what's it called again? No, let's get it right. Egg Quality Diet is in pre-order. That's actually something that I just think it's actually the nutrition and other tips that you need to absolutely get things on track. I have a few other things. I will share a graphic with you at the end of this that helps you to break it all down and give you pretty much summarize everything we've talked about. But basically eating for fertility, so increasing especially fat, good fats. We're not talking about McDonald's drive-through, but we're talking about making sure there's enough fat, enough protein in our diet because our hormones are made of fat and protein. We absolutely need to support our gut health, which we've slightly touched on with pre and probiotics. We want to make sure we're having a good solid 8 hours sleep and that we're also addressing our stress levels. And if we can start with those things, then we're well on the way to starting to get not only our handle on our fertility, but improving our fertility and our quality and outcomes. So I will share that graphic with you. The other one thing I do want to share with you before we go, and you might have seen if you've not been hiding under a rock, is that my very good friend, Dr. Sean, has got a program running, a free program at 6 days and 6 steps for you to help to get a handle on your hormones. So I will put a link. In both. I've just got to find the link. Oh no, did I actually tap out of that? Oh no, I'm here. Now maybe I'll share it at the end. But that you definitely want to register for that. It's not happening until the end of June, so you've got some time to get yourself organised. But I absolutely am very excited for this. You'll find that there's you might have seen that I shared that lab report guide. That's something else you might want to check out. I found the link for Facebook. I'm just full of links tonight, clearly. But you want to go and check that out and register for that. That's really exciting. And it will be, like I said, 6 days, 6 steps, the things that you can do to help to balance your hormones. He's a gynecologist and obstetrician, and he's a very clever man and absolutely appreciates this integration, but the whole aspect of lifestyle being able to support our hormones, because it is what we do each and every day that helps us to put our best foot forward. So we absolutely need to be doing that. Before we hang up Instagram, I will share that with you. And then, like I said, I promise you I will share this graphic as well that you can start to look at. So, it starts with becoming curious. It starts with being motivated and being able to look at the bigger picture and think, you know what, my nutrition hasn't been great. My stress levels are through the roof. I don't look after myself. I don't exercise. I don't sleep properly. And I know these things are no-brainers to us, but unless someone's actually coming in here and shaking you and saying, you must do this for your long-term health, you must do this for your hormones. And it definitely, if you want to do an egg collection, or if you want to do an egg collection or freeze your eggs, we have to get things to a point where you are putting your best quality eggs forward. It makes sense, right? So this is how we do this. We've got lots of resources. So for those of you who are saying, how do we do this? I've given you Amy's book. I've given you Sean's program. I'll give you a graphic when I hang up tonight. And I am just really excited to help to support people to do this. And I want you to have faith in your body that it knows what it's doing. But if you give it the right support, it's going to be next level, guys. And that's something that really it doesn't have to be that hard. It's just a matter of making good choices, knowing which choices are right, and trusting that you know how to do that as well. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to empower you. So with that in mind, I've spoken for half an hour, and I know there's always more questions, and I love the Ask Nats, but I will absolutely happily continue to answer questions. That graphic that I share on Instagram and on Facebook, if you have more questions, please drop it in the comments section, and I'll do my best to comment on those. Thank you once again for joining me. Let's see if we can get Christina going again. Before I hang up Instagram, I will put a link to Sean's program, but it's also in my bio, actually, now I think about it. It's called The Hormone Project, so definitely go and check that out. Beth, thank you for being amazing and dropping those links for Amy's pre-order of her amazing book. That's another place to start. Loads of resources, guys, here to help you.